Welcome back to the Deep Dive, and a special welcome to all our C9 followers, both from the podcast and our business page.
It is great to be here.
Today, we are really targeting one of the most immediate and, frankly, costly risks for any C-level executive investing in AI. We're talking about LLM and machine learning integration.
We are. The real topic is how you deploy this amazing technology without falling into some very dangerous, very high-stakes pitfalls.
And our source material really highlights this. It outlines what's being called the $200 million problem, something every single Australian executive should understand.
And that financial risk, it's not just a theory. It is grounded in real-world liability. When you integrate these models into your critical systems, for wealth management, for legal compliance, trust is the only thing that matters.
Right. So our mission today is to show you how to get from that sort of statistical guessing game to a verifiable, trustworthy AI asset.
And we have the perfect cautionary tale to start with.
The New York law firm, it's infamous now.
Yeah.
They were sanctioned because their AI just confidently invented legal cases, completely fake cases.
Exactly. And that proves the core problem. A traditional LLM, its main job is to predict the next word to sound convincing.
Not to check if that word is true.
Precisely. It's a master of confidence, but it has no concept of truth. And that gap, that's where the critical risk for your business lives.
So we've set the stage, we've identified the menace. The solution, which we're going to unpack, is called Retrieval-Augmented Generation, RE.
That's the enterprise-grade architecture. But first, let's just be crystal clear about the threat itself.
Let's define it. AI hallucinations.
Right. So this is when a language model generates information that sounds completely authoritative, but is in fact totally fabricated.
And the key thing here is the confidence, isn't it? A human might say, well, I think this is right, or I'm not totally sure, but...
But the AI doesn't. It delivers false information with this unwavering, absolute certainty. It literally doesn't know it's lying.
And the examples we've seen show this isn't some abstract academic problem. It is hitting businesses right now in Australia.
Oh, absolutely. The examples should keep executives up at night. Take financial services. We saw a case where a wealth management chatbot just invented something called a premium growth fund.
Invented it.
Completely.
Yeah.
Complete with fabricated historical returns, fake policy details. And the worst part is 3 clients, 3 actual people started investing their money based on this misinformation.
The compliance exposure on that alone is just staggering. You're talking about misleading financial advice, which is a huge red line.
The massive one, and it crosses into every regulated industry. In healthcare, a patient triage system was found, recommending treatments that referenced clinical studies that were never published.
That's dangerous.
It gets worse. It was citing drug interactions that were the complete opposite of established medical guidelines. The risk there goes from financial strain to patient safety.
And in the legal space, where compliance is everything.
Just as vulnerable, we saw an Australian company use a basic AI to draft compliance documents. The final docs, they referenced repealed acts and non-existent sections of current laws. Imagine facing an audit with that.
It would be an instant, severe failure. So the business costs here, they go way beyond just needing to fix a document.
Of course, you have direct compliance risk. Penalties under the Australian Consumer Law, the Privacy Act, but then there's the reputational damage.
Which, in the Australian business culture that's so relationship-driven, losing trust can be fatal.
It's often irreversible. And then you have the simple operational cost. If your team has to spend their time fact-checking every single thing the AI says, you've completely lost the business case for having it in the first place.
It becomes a cost center instead of a competitive advantage.
Exactly. If your AI is confidently wrong even 10% of the time, that 10% will consume 90% of your management's focus. It's just not sustainable.
Okay, so that really sets the stage. And it leads to this temptation, this next big problem that businesses face when they want a quick fix. The sources call this the AI Cowboy problem.
The AI Cowboy, it's such a perfect term for it. This is the opportunist, usually a freelancer or a small shop, who promises a rapid, bargain-priced AI deployment.
They see that executive urgency, and they swoop in with a quote that's, 60 to 80% lower than established integrators?
Easily. Their playbook is always the same. Promise a 2 to 4 week deployment, deliver a very shiny but simple chatbot wrapper, and then they disappear, usually right when the system starts getting real traffic.
And the technical reason this happens is fascinating. The sources call it vibes coding. What does that actually look like in practice?
Vibes coding is when a developer relies almost entirely on AI code generation tools. They'll ask a model like ChatGPT, hey, write me a RAG system, and it will spit out, 500 or 1,000 lines of code.
And it looks like it works in the demo.
It does. So they copy it, paste it, and deliver it as a complete project without truly understanding the security implications or the architecture or how it scales. They're coding on a vibe, not on sound engineering principles.
And the really dangerous part is that the failure isn't immediate. It pops up 3 to 6 months later, right after you've started to depend on it.
That's when the time bombs go off. And the first one is always security.
What kind of vulnerabilities?
Oh, all sorts. We see exposed API keys just left sitting in the code. And massive SQL injection risks are incredibly common.
Okay, let's pause on that. For the non-technical exec, explain why SQL injection is such a terrifying phrase.
Right. So because the code was just generated and not properly validated, it might blindly trust anything a user types in. With SQL injection, an attacker can type malicious database commands into a standard input field, like a search bar.
And the system just runs them.
It just runs them directly against your database. This can give an attacker full access to read, change, or even delete all your data. If that's your customer data, you've just had a major Privacy Act breach.
So a small technical shortcut becomes a massive compliance catastrophe.
Instantly. The second time bomb is scalability. The system that handled 10 queries in a demo will just fall over and crash when 1,000 real customers try to use it. It wasn't built for a production load.
Which leads to the third problem, the maintenance nightmare. The original developer is long gone, and no one on your team can understand this patchwork of AI-generated code to fix it.
And that's your technical debt, but on steroids. You end up paying 3 to 5 times more to fix, or more likely, completely rebuild it. All those initial savings are just gone.
This just hammers home why a documented architecture and human-written, understandable code are non-negotiable. Which brings us finally to the real solution, the enterprise-grade approach, RAG architecture.
Right. RAG is what changes the entire reliability equation. It turns that unpredictable AI into a trustworthy asset because it adds layers of control and verification.
So let's get into the mechanics. How does it actually do that verification?
It's a combination of two things: real-time information retrieval and what we call grounded generation. So when you ask a question, the model doesn't just invent an answer.
Okay.
First, it performs a search. It searches your business's own curated, verified knowledge bases, your documents, your databases, for the relevant facts.
But how can it search efficiently across, say, thousands of PDFs or internal reports that aren't structured nicely?
That is the magic of the vector database. We take all your corporate documents, break them into small logical chunks, and then convert those chunks into numerical representations. We call them embedding.
Embeddings, okay.
These embeddings capture the semantic meaning of the text. So when a user asks a question, we convert the question into an embedding too. The system isn't looking for keywords. It's looking for a match in meaning.
I see. So it's a similarity search. It's finding the most relevant chunks of your own internal knowledge first.
Exactly. It retrieves those verified facts, and this is the key part. It then feeds those facts, we call it the context, to the large language model.
And that's the grounded generation part.
Yeah, that's it. The LLM gets a very specific instruction. Only answer the user's question using the information I just gave you, and cite your sources. It physically prevents hallucination because the model is constrained by your verified fact.
That is such a critical distinction. So RAG gives your AI 3 capabilities that a standalone model just doesn't have. First is memory access to your real-time knowledge.
Second is verification. Every claim is traceable back to a source document.
And third is currency. The answers are based on yesterday's data, not training data from 2 years ago.
And that grounding is why we see such a dramatic reduction in hallucinations. The data shows RAG can reduce them by over 80%.
80%. Let's put that in a business context. The Melbourne distributor example, their chatbot was only giving correct info 62% of the time.
Right. And after implementing RAG,
Accuracy jumped to 94%, and every answer cited the specific product data sheet. That's how you build customer trust.
and beyond accuracy, the economic model is just far superior. A lot of enterprises think about fine-tuning these huge models, which can cost, upwards of $350,000 to $500,000 a year.
And it still doesn't guarantee factual accuracy.
Not at all. A properly implemented R architecture, you're typically looking at $100,000 to $200,000 annually. The 3-year total cost of ownership savings can be over $750,000.
So you're paying less for a system that is exponentially more trustworthy.
And for Australian businesses, you get the critical benefit of data sovereignty and compliance. Because R is retrieving from your own systems, you can deploy it on premises or in a secure private cloud.
Why is that so important?
Because it means your sensitive customer data never leaves your servers, never gets sent to a public AI vendor. This is essential for complying with the Privacy Act and the Australian privacy principles. You have a complete audit trail.
And the competitive advantage that comes from domain expertise is huge.
Yeah.
The Brisbane legal firm example is perfect.
It is. Once their RA system was connected to their private case library and Australian legal statutes, it essentially gave their junior lawyers an expert-level research assistant.
So they get instant, accurate case law responses with citations.
It frees up senior partners for high-value strategic work. It's an incredible knowledge accelerator, but it's only possible when you can guarantee the AI is drawing from your private, verified knowledge.
So if you're listening and you're convinced that RAG is the way forward, the very next step is maybe the most important one for protecting your budget. What is the #1 mistake executives make at this point?
Without a doubt, the #1 mistake is skipping the discovery phase to get a quick, cheap, indicative quote. We see this approach fail 95% of the time.
Because you can't price what you don't understand. An executive gets a quote for $60,000 from one vendor and $180,000 from another. They're not quotes for the same project.
Not even close. One is assuming a simple FAQ bot. The other is assuming deep integration with legacy systems. And this incentivizes vendors to lowball their quotes, knowing they can make up the money on change orders later.
The Melbourne retailer story is the perfect cautionary tale. They got an initial quote of $55,000. They skipped discovery. What happened?
Reality hit. Their databases needed to be consolidated. They needed real-time inventory integration. The compliance framework needed custom work. The project was just hit with change order after change order.
And the final cost?
$157,000. That's 185% over the initial quote. All that stress, all that budget shock could have been avoided.
A proper discovery-first approach would have given them a realistic quote from the start. Maybe $165,000? It would have uncovered the data issues, the security needs, the whole integration landscape before a line of code was written.
A good discovery process delivers strategic clarity. It defines the business problem, the success criteria, and the budget. And it results in a detailed technical specification and a project estimate that's accurate down to the hour.
And with that roadmap, you can be much smarter about your spending. You can take a phased approach.
Exactly. You don't have to commit to the whole amount up front. You can do a phase 1 proof of value. Maybe that's an 8-week project for $45,000.
And if that phase delivers a tangible result, say, it reduces support tickets by 20%.
The savings from that result can actually pay for the next phase. The project becomes self-funding, and you build confidence with your stakeholders every step of the way.
So it validates the tech, de-risks the investment, and protects the budget.
Which brings us back to the fundamental question. As you look to invest in AI, are you going to do it right, or are you going to end up doing it twice?
And let's close with that final, powerful statistic. The Melbourne company that tried to save money with the $90,000 AI Cowboy quote.
They wasted $105,000 in 6 months on a system that never worked. Then they had to pay a proper integrator another $180,000 to rebuild it from scratch.
So their final bill was $270,000 to fix a problem that should have cost $165,000 to begin with. That's the real cost of chasing the lowest quote.
You deserve an AI integration that works from day one, built on a secure, verifiable RAG architecture.
And at C9, our focus is on being the best value, not the cheapest. We deliver enterprise-grade solutions with transparent pricing and a model that's designed to build capability within your own team, not dependency on us.
So if you're a business owner or C-level executive ready to deploy trustworthy AI, protect your budget and get it right the first time.
Schedule your discovery call with us today. C9 is Australia's leading custom software, apps, integration, and database developer company.
You can find everything you need at www.c9.com.au.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Make sure you click that follow button, and please share this with anyone who can benefit from this knowledge.
Until next time.
From the C9 Podcast Show, we are signing off.